meeting of the Los Angeles County Board of Supervisors. As you know, today is Tuesday, April the 20th, 2021. Our meeting today is being held remotely due to the current public health crisis to protect the health of all. I will now take roll call to confirm attendance. Please unmute your mic and respond when your name is called. Supervisor Mitchell. Here. Thank you. Supervisor Kuehl. Here. Thank you. Supervisor Hahn. I'm here. Thank you. Supervisor
Welcome
Barker.
and good morning, everyone. This is the regularly scheduled
Supervisor Barker.
board meeting of the
I'm
Los
here.
Angeles County Board of Supervisors.
Thank you. Deesia Davenport, Chief Executive Officer. Deesia Davenport, Chief Executive Officer. Rodrigo Castro Silva, County Counsel. Rodrigo Castro Silva, County Counsel. Dalia Zavala, Executive Officer of the Board. Here. We'll call Deesia Davenport, Chief Executive Officer. Rodrigo Castro.
Did you see them all struggling with their microphones? What do you think? What do you think?
We're having technical difficulty there. Will join us in a moment, but we're going to move on. As indicated on the posted agenda, we'll be taking telephonic public comments separately for regular agenda items and public hearing items during today's meeting. The Executive Office of the Board received over 2,700 written public comments for today's meeting. And as those written comments were received, all of them were available to the Board of Supervisors for their consideration, consistent with the Brown Act requirements. We will continue to receive written public comments throughout the meeting, which will become a part of the official record. Madam Executive Officer, we call the agenda.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd just like to see if Deesia and Rod are using phones.
Okay, that's Deesia. Thank you.
Present.
Rod Castro?
Here.
Castro? Okay, very good. Thank you.
Good morning, Madam Chair, and members of the board. Today's agenda will begin on page 2. That matters at 11 a.m. Item S1 is a discussion of the public health order related to COVID-19. This item will be held for discussion. On page 3, special district agenda. This is the agenda for the Los Angeles County Development Authority. On page 4, public hearings, items 1 through 5. On item 3, the Executive Officer of the Board requested the item to be continued to May 18, 2021, as indicated on the posted agenda. The remaining items will be held for hearing. On page 7, consent calendar, Board of Supervisors, items 6 through 34. On item 6, Supervisor Barker requests to refer back to her office for recommendation to appoint Dr. David Drewsinski to the Los Angeles Homeless Service Authority. On item 8, Supervisor Hahn requests that this item be held. This includes a revision as indicated on the supplemental agenda. On items 9, 10, and 11, Supervisor Hahn requests that these items be held. On item 15, Supervisor Barber requests that this item be held. On item 21, Supervisor Mitchell requests that this item be held. On item 22, Supervisor Solis requests that this item be held. On item 24, this includes a revision as indicated on the supplemental agenda. And Supervisor Solis would like to revise Directive Number 1 of her motion to replace all disbursements of future state and federal recovery funding with all disbursements of funding. On item 25, Supervisor Solis requests that this item be held. This includes a revision as indicated on the supplemental agenda. On item 26, this includes a revision as indicated on the supplemental agenda. On item 30, Supervisor Mitchell requests that this item be held. On item 32, Supervisor Teal requests that this item be held. On page 26, Administrative Matters, items 35 through 45. On page 30, this includes miscellaneous additions to the agenda which were posted more than 72 hours in advance of the meeting as indicated on the supplemental agenda. On item 43C, Supervisor Barger and Supervisor Teal request that this item be held. On item 43G, Supervisor Solis requests that this item be held. The request for continuances or items to be referred back to 43G are before you.
Moved by Supervisor Barker, seconded by Supervisor Hahn to approve these items. That will be the orders.
On page 31, Budget Matter, item 46 will be held for discussion. On page 32, Notices of Closed Session, item CS1, this includes a correction as indicated on the supplemental agenda. That completes the reading of the agenda, Madam Chair.
Thank you. We will now take public comments for all agenda items, excluding public hearing items 1 through 5. Madam Executive Officer, please read the call-in information that was also provided on the agenda and explain the speaking rules to those members of the public who are calling in to address the board.
As indicated on the agenda, members of the public wishing to offer public comment should call 877-226-8163 and use participant code number 133-6503. To repeat, please call 877-226-8163 and use participant code number 133-6503. Do not call that number if you only want to listen to the meeting. To listen only, please call 877-873-8017 and follow the instructions. To members of the public calling in, when it's your turn to speak, please state your name and which agenda item you wish to speak on. You have 1 minute to speak on one agenda item or 2 minutes to speak on 2 or more agenda items. In addition, those who would like to address the board with general public comments will be provided 1 additional minute for a maximum total up to 3 minutes per person for all agenda items, including general public comment. We will allocate up to 60 minutes for public comment on all of the items, excluding the public hearing items. If there are no speakers waiting before 60 minutes have elapsed, we will close public comment. We will continue to accept all written comments that come in during the meeting, which will become part of the record. When speaking on an agenda item, we must be on topic. Our goal is to get through as many speakers as we can. If you're not speaking on a topic, or if we cannot tell if you're speaking on an agenda item, you will get 1 warning from County Council or the chair. If you do not immediately or clearly get on topic, or can stray off topic again, you will forfeit the rest of your time and the chair will move to the next speaker. Please note, if you are also listening to the board meeting on a computer or speakerphone, you will need to turn down the volume on those devices as soon as the moderator calls on you. If you do not turn down the volume, there will be an echo. Moderator, may we have the first speaker, please?
As a reminder, to address the board, if you have not done so already, please press 1 then 0 at this time. Do not press 1 and 0 a second time, or you will be removed from queue.
We will now hear the reminder in Spanish. Can we have the first speaker, please?
Our first participant is Stephanie Hosberts. Please state the regular agenda item you are addressing today and whether you'll address general public comment. You may begin.
Good morning, supervisors. I'm speaking on item number 46, and I am in favor of 46. My name is Stephanie Pocklers. I'm a respiratory care practitioner with LA County Health Services in Rancho Los Amigos. The COVID-19 has taken an extraordinary toll on me, my family, and my coworkers. Nearly all the workers in my respiratory care unit contracted COVID. As a result, I would end up working regular 24-hour shifts, literally to cover patient care. Every day, patients on my unit died. The COVID surge around Christmas was especially brutal. Patients' deaths doubled, tripled, almost overnight. I am a single mother, but I slept in a hotel for an extended period to keep my daughter safe while she stayed with relatives. The suffering and death of my patients, the physical and emotional exhaustion, and the isolation from my family has left me with PTSD. Please recognize and respect the workers who fought to hold Los Angeles County together during the pandemic and include heroes.
Thank you. Your time has expired. Can we have the next speaker, please?
Yes, our next speaker is Julie Martinez. Please state the agenda item you'll be addressing today, and also include, if you wish to include general public comment, you may begin.
Yes, I am going to be commenting on 24, 26, 46, and general comments. In terms of 24, I would first like to strongly support this motion and thank Supervisor Solis for being a champion for working people. Also, hopefully, part of the recovery services could include rent forgiveness. And thank you again, Solis. And the next item that I'm going to be speaking on is 26. And I am in support of Senate Bill SB 731, the sunsetting criminal records. And thank you for that as well. And I'd also like to comment on item 46 and request that you fully fund Measure J. And it's extremely important. And Measure J was voted in by us in the community. And we're very, very worried that not all of the money will be allocated to Measure J, but it really should. And in terms of general comments, I wanted to talk about the Sheriff Department. And I feel that you are going to be confronted with Sheriff Villanueva asking you for more money and more funding. I follow almost all of his town halls, and he's making around on town halls throughout the county. And at every opportunity, he makes disparaging remarks about the Board of Supervisors, claiming that they don't give him enough money to make the community safe. I think that's extremely unfair. If you took the time to speak to us in the community, I happen to be in Barger's district. If you spoke to us, we can tell you about the tremendous amount of waste that occurs in the Sheriff Department. For a simple stop during COVID for expired tags, one particular sheriff called backup of 8 sheriffs on my daughter-in-law and my granddaughter. My granddaughter began recording it, so they pulled her phone from her, and they handcuffed her at the age of 14. My daughter-in-law, because of expired tags, simply expired tags, was asked if she was a drug dealer and proceeded to check her car. They found nothing, of course, and she had to fix it. Of course, during COVID, it's not always that easy. But the fact that the Sheriff Department utilizes massive amounts of cars and backup is a total waste of time and waste of money at the expense of working class folks here in the county. I want to leave you with this. A neighbor, a family friend's neighbor, pulled up in a $120,000 brand new RV. When they asked him, wow, that's pretty expensive. How'd you explain this expense? His answer was, the taxpayers of LA County, baby, that's my cash cow. My overtime is my cash cow.
Thank you. Your time has expired. Next speaker, please.
Our next speaker is Bob Schoonover. Please state the regular agenda items you are addressing today and whether you will address general public comment. Your line is open.
Yes, I'm addressing number 7 and public comment. Good morning, Chairman, Board of Supervisors. It's nice to be here today to talk about item 7. I want to give you a little bit of background. Before I became involved with the union, I'm now serving as the executive director of SEIU 721. I spent a lot of time as a mechanic working on equipment that Public Works uses. I work for the city of Los Angeles. You know, we have perhaps the opportunity of a lifetime, and I know the bill isn't passed yet, at the federal level on infrastructure. And we have to prepare for this in a very efficient manner. And you know, you have to identify projects, you have to find out where you're going to lease or purchase equipment, all of that. But the one thing that's really truly important, and the one thing that we can get started on immediately, is the human element.
Thank you. You now have 1 minute for general public comment.
Okay. The human element in any kind of infrastructure project is the personnel that you have. And you don't want to wait on hiring people when you have a big project like this coming at you. You want to hire them as soon as you can. I know they have open positions. You want them to gain the experience, feel comfortable, have a good working relationship with the rest of the people they're working with. So I urge support of item number 7 and hiring people as soon as possible. Thank you so much. Bye.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Our next speaker is Yvette Ale or Ali. Please state the regular agenda items you're addressing today and whether you'll address general public comment. You may begin.
Hi, good morning, Supervisors. Yvette Ale with Dignity and Power Now here. I'll be speaking on agenda items 21, 22, 24, 31, 32, and 46 and general public comment. First on agenda item 21, thank you Supervisor Solis and Supervisor Keel for your leadership on ATI and moving us closer to MCJ closure. I strongly support this motion to set aside county funds for Care First capital projects like Supervisor Solis' Restorative Care Village and other similar capital projects that are community-driven and community-informed. However, I strongly oppose using these funds for modification and renovation that expand jails in any way and in any capacity. Any modifications should be strictly limited to improving conditions of confinement without expansion, including rejecting any additional wings. We absolutely cannot use these funds to construct any new jails or expansion. Additionally, the fastest way to more effectively improve conditions of confinement is actually decarceration. Any funds available for capital projects should prioritize community-based strategies that support reducing jail population first, rather than modifications and renovations. On agenda item 22, I'm in favor of this motion, and I urge the board to fully realize the Care First vision for Los Angeles. It must be acknowledged that an estimated 20,000 individuals rely on income generated from the carceral state, the Sheriff's Department, and Probation Department. We don't want folks to not have jobs. So this is an opportunity for this body, this new established body, to actually take on a leadership role in creating a just transition vision for Los Angeles County that shifts funding away from the carceral system and frees up dollars so we can actually spend them on Measure J, which leads me to agenda item 46. It is imperative that the county fully fund Measure J, not only because it's the letter of the law, but because our communities have been suffering exponentially due to COVID. This is an opportunity to put austerity aside and really look at the needs of the community. 10% should be closer to $966 million, not the $100 million allocation that the CEO has put before you. I urge you to really...
You now have 1 minute to speak on general public comment.
Thank you. I call on you to reject the current CEO's misguided attempt to allocate a measly $100 million for Measure J and really fully fund this measure in the way that it was written in the law. On agenda item 32, the Supreme Court decision on Humphrey implementation. Thank you, Supervisors Kuehl and Solis, for really being proactive on Humphrey implementation. I urge you to really take a look at how this board can influence SB 262, which is currently in the state legislature being considered a $0 bail bill, with appropriate amendments that actually reduce the power of the judiciary, actually reduce the use of electronic monitoring. We can actually close the loopholes on Humphrey implementation and have the impact that LA County really needs to be able to decarcerate and close MCJ. So please take a look at SB 262, and please engage community-based experts on pretrial as part of this process. On agenda item 31, I strongly support this motion and recognize that
Your time has expired. Next speaker, please.
As a reminder, to address the board, if you have not already done so, please press 1 and then 0, but do not press 1 and 0 a second time, or you'll be removed from queue. Our next comment comes from Eric Brevin. Please state the regular agenda items you will address and whether you'll address general public comment. You may begin.
Thank you. I'll speak on 21, 32, 46, 7, 8, CS1, and I'll do the general public comment. But so I'll take the 2 minutes and the 1 minute. Thank you. First of all, I'd like to applaud the idea of hero pay and also suggest that we include in the folks who could possibly receive hero pay the very hardworking employees of AT&T who, at this time, we've learned are, for this work of providing service, are compensated $386 an hour, which is almost $700,000 a year. But they do a very, very important job of keeping critics out of the mix for at least half the time. And kudos to Sheila and the chair for using the special meeting as a weapon. I think it's gone extremely well. Item 26, thank you, is the legislation that would create a comprehensive system to sunset arrest and conviction records. And this comes from Ms. Durazo, so thank you. She's done an outstanding job. And thanks to Schoonover, by the way, for popping in to wrap up for the Biden plan. I do think that infrastructure is critically important, and I thank the board for taking such a leading role in getting ready for that. I would ask, if it's possible, that we do a little work at the Red Line Universal Station, right around the corner from what has become a virtual landfill at the Hollywood Bowl Park and Ride under Sheila's leadership. We do need to open the restroom. The reason why is very, very simple. For those who have not figured it out already, the people who commute in from the outer parts of the county to the city to service various restaurants, businesses, people, etc., need to use the toilet. So I know that Mayor Garcetti and the Metro Board are busy figuring out how to get the Olympics people moving going, but we do need toilets near the places where people travel. One great idea would be to open and unlock the damn door where there is an existing toilet. This would avoid the need to put in any kind of temporary structure.
You now have 1 minute for general public comment.
Just one? Okay, fine. The private businesses and entities in the unincorporated area of the county have been asked to cover 4 hours minimum of each way to get a vaccine. And I understand the idea because we want people vaccinated. But by giving a day off, I just want to do a little bit of math. We know what the cost of the day off is, as Janice Hahn will recall. One county day off for all the county employees cost about $11 million. We did it for George H.W. Bush when he passed away. It was a measure of respect, I suppose, because everybody hated Trump at the time, including myself. But it was still a misappropriation, in my opinion, because we don't just hand out days off. We have work to do, and we're doing a bad to medium bad job. One thing that we would really, really appreciate if the board could simply instruct the auditor controller to provide the public records that we've been requested, because it's taking an inordinate amount of time to figure out how much we're actually paying to various entities, and that creates...
Your time has expired. May we have the next speaker, please?
Our next comment comes from from Kayvon Ward. Please state the regular agenda item you're addressing today and whether you'll address general public comment. You may begin.
Hi, my name is Kayvon Ward, and I'm speaking on agenda items 8 and 9. I'm a Manhattan Beach resident, and I'm the founder of Justice for Bruce's Beach. Thank you, Supervisor Hahn, for hearing my protest and for taking the necessary steps with Supervisor Mitchell to restore what was once the Bruce family beachfront resort back to the Bruce family. To the rest of the supervisors who may be on the fence about voting yes on motions 8 and 9, I'd ask that you imagine your home, a place for which you've worked tirelessly to earn, being taken from you. Imagine owning a flourishing business, one you were able to establish during a time when people like you were relegated to working for people who dehumanized, criminalized, and underpaid you. Imagine experiencing joy, pride, and purpose because you got to be a beacon of hope for people who couldn't catch a break. Then imagine being Black as you endured all of that. As you imagine all of that, think about what you will feel like in the future after realizing you voted no to motions 8 and 9 and positioned yourself on the wrong side of history. Thank you, and I'd like to yield the balance of my time to folks speaking on motions 8 and 9.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
We'll go to the line of Ellen Jeezy. Please state the agenda items you'll be addressing and whether you'll address general public comment. You may begin.
Hello, my name is Ellen Jeezy. I'm a resident of District 5. I will be speaking on agenda items 13, 21, 22, 24, 26, 30, 31, 32, 46 in general public comment. Would like to state my support of 13, 21, 22, 24, 26, 30, 31 in other to 32 as it has some good and some bad, and strong opposition of 46, which is where I would like to begin. As this new fiscal year's budget takes shape, I urge the board to reassess the CEO's current analysis and direct the Office of the CEO to make the full funding allocation for Measure J based on the entire net county cost and the language of the law. The CEO has estimated that the full 10% allocation of Measure J funds would be $300 million, and when fully funded over the next 3 years, and only $100 million this year. I believe that analysis that led to this number is not only flawed, but represents an interpretation of the measure that is not legally or fiscally sound. Trusted analysis of county funds has estimated that the true Measure J set aside would approximate $966 million and $600 million at the lowest possible end. A fiscal analysis that allocates any less stands flatly opposed to the county's Care First vision, state law established precedent, and the language of the county's charter as amended by Measure J. And I would like to add to that, when we voted for this, we voted with those figures in mind, that $600 million to $966 million. This is what we were asking be allocated when we voted, because we were seeing those numbers. They were published in the LA Times, they were published in the Washington Post. Would like to uplift Ms. Alay's comment regarding 21. They said it so well, I have nothing further to add there. Regarding item 13, this board has the opportunity to build on the transformative vision of ATI by providing support for survivors through non-punitive, community-informed, and culturally humble pathways. Survivors have...
You now have 1 minute to speak on general public comment.
Have so much to teach us about what justice and healing look like for them, and survivors of acts that are often criminalized, such as survivors of intimate partner harm, theft, sexual harm, among others. But calling on county leadership to use approaches to addressing harm that are transformative and center survivors' healing. For my general public comment, I would like to uplift the second caller today. I believe their name was Julie, the one speaking about her 14-year-old granddaughter who was handcuffed for recording the police to make sure that her mother wasn't killed in front of her eyes during a routine traffic stop. This sounds all too familiar, and it is time we stop hearing these stories. This idea that the police are to protect us is an antiquated and dangerous idea. We know that they do not protect us. What they do is work to add enough money to their pockets that they can pay overtime sufficient to buy $120,000 RV. It is time that we...
Thank you. Your time has expired. Next speaker, please.
Our next comment comes from Imani Wilkinson. Please state the agenda items you'll be addressing and whether you'll address general public comment. You may begin.
Good morning, and thank you for your time. My name is Imani Wilkinson. As stated, I represent District 3, and I will be addressing agenda items 8 and 9. Can I begin?
Yes, please begin.
Okay. I just wanted to start by thanking Supervisor Hahn and Supervisor Mitchell in their quest towards a more just Los Angeles County. Again, I wanted to take this time to implore my supervisor, the District 3 Supervisor Sheila Kuehl, to jump on this opportunity to support their efforts by voting yes on item 8. Item 8 would be the return of the Brewster's Beach to the rightful owners, and for the county to begin planning to return Brewster's Beach to the Bruce family descendants, as well for Sheila Kuehl to vote yes on item 9, which is the LA County to sponsor Senate Bill 796, which would remove the state restrictions on Brewster's Beach and allow it to be rightfully transferred to the Bruce family descendants. I just want to say that I've been in Los Angeles for 10 years now, and I remember searching for a place to live when I first moved here. We looked everywhere. I'm a water baby. I'm a former competitive swimmer, so we enjoy coastal living, and I was stunned to see just how expensive it was. I mean, I'd heard all the stories, but didn't really believe it. I remember talking to my cousin and telling her all the places I would love to live, and she giggled. It wasn't a giggle with some anger or any of that, but it was a remarkable giggle. And she went on to inform me of the history of Inkwell Beach and Bruce's Beach here in Los Angeles. And at the time, I wasn't surprised or angered either. But in researching it more and learning more about it, of course, over time, that changes. So I just wanted to let my supervisors know that...
Thank you. Your time has expired.
As a reminder, if you wish to address the board, and if you have not done so already, you may press 1 and then 0. But do not press 1 and 0 a second time, or you'll be removed from the queue. We'll go with
Now we will hear the reminder in Spanish.
Como recordatorio para dirigirse a la supervisora, si aún no lo ha hecho, presione 1 y luego 0 en este momento. No presione 1 y 0 porque una vez será eliminado de la fila.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Our next speaker is David Green. Please state the regular agenda items you will address and whether you'll address general public comment. You may begin.
Addressing item 46. My name is David Green, and I'm a children's social worker and the vice president of SEIU Local 721. For more than a year now, the members of SEIU, your employees, have faced daunting challenges and serious dangers. Healthcare workers have witnessed unimaginable suffering and have fought to save lives by putting their own lives and their families' lives at risk. Disaster service workers have taken on entirely new duties in difficult circumstances to protect and care for our community's most vulnerable. Office workers have struggled to perform their regular duties remotely while multitasking as parent, teacher, food service worker, and counselor. SEIU members have made tremendous personal sacrifices. As essential workers, we've risen to the occasion and held Los Angeles County together through this awful pandemic. Today you'll be hearing a few of our stories, but there are thousands just like them. We've done our part. Today we're calling on you to do yours. Recognize, appreciate, and compensate your workers for what they've done and what we do every day. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Our next speaker is Melissa Pinsley. Please state the regular agenda items you will address and whether you'll address general public comment. You may begin.
Hi, good morning. Thank you so much for your time. I will be addressing items 8 and 9 regarding Bruce's Beach. And I am for returning the beach to the family because this is so important. And if you vote no on this, you are continuing to uphold violent crimes against the Black community. Removing people from their land is violence, as was stated before. It's just, if it's never happened to you or your family, you genuinely cannot understand what that means. And right now, you all have the ability to set this right and do the right thing. This land was stolen because of racism. And there's a track record proving that that was the case. And the only thing keeping it from being returned is racism. So we have an amazing opportunity where you can vote and see your names in the history books, because this is a first real opportunity of genuine reparations that are actionable, that there's a clear path. And if you vote yes for this, you can be the ones that started the chain that other communities can see to help to get people their community back, a chance for us all to be able to have our homes and have our places where we can belong and not feel like we are othered. And it's really embarrassing. I think the fact that it was earlier voted to not even apologize. I mean, first, an apology is the easiest thing you can do, and we have to be able to hold ourselves accountable for, even if we personally didn't do it 100 years ago, the people who came before us did, and we need to apologize, and we need to move forward, and we need to do more than an art installation. I personally am an artist. I love art. I think it's so important. But if you're going to spend $350,000, do something that's going to actually put money in people's pockets so that they can move forward, instead of a reminder that's just kind of like a social media profile picture turned all black that doesn't mean anything. There's no action to it. It's just something meaningless that reminds us that no one's actually going to do anything to help others.
Thank you. Your time has expired. May we have the next speaker, please?
Our next comment comes from Kevin Murray. Please state the regular agenda items you will address and whether you'll address general public comment. You may begin.
I'm speaking on item 46 and general comment. My name is Kevin Murray. I'm the president and CEO of the Weingart Center Association. We develop affordable housing and we operate interim housing, including the recently opened Hilda Solis Care First Village in just north of downtown. And I just want to support the budget as proposed and want to particularly emphasize the additional monies that are going to Measure H funding and to increase the supply of interim housing beds and motel vouchers. I am firmly in support of item 46. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Our next speaker is David Ford. Please state the agenda items you will address and whether you will address general public comment. You may begin.
Good morning, Chair Solis and members of the board. My name is David Ford, Government Relations Manager of Southern California Edison. Thank you for the opportunity to share a few remarks on the motion introduced by Supervisor Hahn and Supervisor Q related to item 10 and general public comments. SC commends the county's thoughtful approach to support zero-emission vehicle adoption and accelerated charging infrastructure deployment. We support the county's focus on ensuring access to EV charging infrastructures in communities with more modest means or state-designated disadvantaged communities who are heavily impacted by pollution from multiple sources and are most vulnerable to its effects. We also encourage the county's consideration charging infrastructure deployment to support more medium and heavy-duty zero-emission vehicles. Medium and heavy-duty vehicles are the largest source of air pollution. By electrifying those vehicles will lead to a greater gain in air pollution reduction. The county has also taken another important step today by approving a clean fuel sustainable fleet policy that requires all new county vehicles to be zero emission. As always, SCE is ready to partner with the
Thank
county.
you. You now have 1 minute to speak on general public comments. Please begin.
As always, SCE is ready to partner with the county on this important work and lend our assistance to this very important cause. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Our next comment comes from Reggie Clark. Please state the agenda item you will address and whether you will address general public comment. You may begin.
Yes, good morning, thank you. Good morning, Madam Chair, Board of Supervisors. I will be speaking in support of item 46 with public comment. As I mentioned, my name is Reggie Clark. I am representing Volunteers of America. I wanted to thank Supervisor Solis for being a champion in support of housing for people experiencing homelessness, especially the project like the Hilda Solis Care First Village and recuperative care. Our homeless neighbors need a comprehensive continuous care that increases the number of beds for folks with levels of mental health needs. We need projects like this across the first district. Also just wanted to take notice to the fact that with interim housing and Project Room Keys and Project Home Keys, we have a lot of our people who are experiencing health conditions and mental health issues that our staff is not able to address based on the needs. So I am definitely in favor of item 46.
Thank you. Your time has expired. Next speaker, please.
Our next speaker is Lynn Abraham. Please state the agenda item you will be addressing and whether you'll address general public comment. You may begin.
Hi, I'm addressing item 46. Hello, Board of Supervisors. My name is Lynn Abraham Pulliam. I'm a Human Services Aide at the El Money Office for the Department of Children and Family Services. A large part of our work is supervising and transporting children under the jurisdiction of the Department of Children and Family Service in our personal vehicles to court order supervised dispatch. Also, during the pandemic, transport children to their COVID testing and or quarantine locations if they were exposed to quarantine to COVID-19 and or positive for COVID-19. This work puts us on the front line and under constant, unavoidable risk as DCFS employees. You can see why we and similar DCFS staff have been highly stressed on our jobs, not only for our health, but also for the health and well-being of our families at home. Supervisors, please do DCFS employees work under supervision or 06. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Our next speaker is Son Hu. Please state the regular agenda item you will address, and if you will address general public comment, you may begin.
I will be addressing agenda item 26. Good morning, my name is Sean Huff, and I'm the Associate Pastor of Crossroads United Methodist Church located in Compton, as well as the California Partnership Manager of California for Safety and Justice. I want to first thank Supervisor Solis and Mitchell for this motion to support SB 731, also known as Sunset, which is going to help remove legal barriers for millions of Californians. Far too many Californians are discriminated against because of old convictions, which really serves no other purpose than continued punishment. These Californians have served their sentences, paid their debt, and have remained crime-free, yet they're still barred from economic, housing, educational opportunity, essentially the opportunity to be citizens of our community. So we want to ask that we are in favor of this. We ask that the supervisors will vote in favor of this. It will help millions to become self-sufficient, help their families and their communities, and not be looked at as second-class citizens.
Thank you. Your time has expired. Next speaker, please.
Our next speaker was Michael Lin. Please state the agenda item you will speak towards, and if you'll address general public comment, you may begin.
Well, good morning. My name is Michael Lin, and I would just like to go straight to general comments. The main thing I would like to talk about is how the LA County Board of Supervisors and the Health Department have been keeping LA County shut down for the past 13 months. It's pretty outrageous. All these small businesses are going out of business. The county has been losing tax revenue due to these shutdowns, and the harm that is being inflicted is immeasurable, and it's insane. People have been losing their livelihoods due to something with a 99.8% survival rate. There's no justification for these shutdowns. It's been proven by science. And as far as these small businesses goes, the harassment of these small businesses by the health department has been unconscionable. These poor people are just working families, trying to run a business, trying to feed their families, pay the bills, and specifically I would like to defend Pinhorn Slack.
Thank you. Your time has expired. Next speaker, please.
Our next comment comes from Colleen Hogan.
Wow, that wasn't even 3 minutes. That wasn't even 1 minute.
Please state the agenda item you'll be addressing today and whether you'll address general public comment.
Okay, the item is 8 and 9, and yes, public comments. Good morning, everyone. My name is Pauline Oginikomo. I'm the president of the Los Angeles County African American Employees Association, better known as LACAA. I am glad to be speaking today on behalf of the great opportunity that the County of Los Angeles has to return Bruce's Beach to its rightful owners. This is a historical tragedy upon the African American family and its generational wealth. In 1912, and it is now 2021, over 109 years ago. Think for a moment about that. 109 years, that has been a long time of suffering. The Bruce couple purchased 2 lots along the Strand in Manhattan Beach, and they moved west as part of the Great Migration. Like so many other African American settlers seeking what is known as the American dream. Seeing a golden opportunity, the Bruces decided to turn their location into a seaside resort to welcome other African American beach goers from all other areas of Los Angeles. The establishment became well known as the Bruce's Beach, and as popularity grew, the residing white residents began to react with hostility and racism. They began putting up fake no trespassing signs around the property and cut off the resort guests as they began to harass the guests that were attending. The white residents pressured the local government to do something about that, about the successful
You now have 1 minute to speak on general public comment.
In 1924, the white real estate agents and the civil leaders in the Council of Manhattan Beach voted to condemn the Bruce Beach. And they were successful. The Bruce family fought back in court, but was defeated. And in 1929, the court awarded their property to the Manhattan Beach through eminent domain. In 1956, the city of Manhattan Beach finally built a park on the land. The county acquired the land that was originally owned by Charles and Willa Bruce in 1912. Now, as a result, the county has an opportunity to rectify this historical wrong. I am happy to say that the County of Los Angeles is now in a position to right this wrong, return the land back to...
Thank you. Your time has expired. May we have the next speaker, please?
Our next comment is from Vivian Arlene. Please state the agenda item you wish to address and whether you'll address general public comment. You may begin.
Greetings. My name is Vivian Arline, and I'll be addressing number 46. I'm in favor. I'm adoption assistant at the Department of Children and Family Services. But during the pandemic, I volunteered to serve as a disaster service worker for the Project Room Key, which served the homeless disadvantaged. I helped out 80 people in their own unique ways. They came from all walks of life, and my experience really opened up my heart to share my own experiences. Which we must have compassion for our fellow Americans who have taken a fall in their lives, especially during a time as this. We need the safety net to be there for them also. They need our help. This pandemic was as real for them as it was for us, and it was very real for me. 2 of my family members contracted COVID, and they survived. But as we know, more than 500,000 of our fellow Americans did not survive. This fact was not lost.
Thank you. Your time has expired. May we have the next speaker, please?
Our next comment comes from Charles Castro. Please state the regular agenda items you will speak towards, and if you will address general public comment, you may begin.
Yes, good morning, Board of Supervisors. This is item 46, and my name is Charles Castro. I'm a ground maintenance worker at LA County Park and Recs, and I feel strongly that essential workers deserve hero pay for all. We have never stopped working since day one of this pandemic. For workers like me, that meant non-stop restroom cleaning in the parks. We didn't know if patrons were sick. This includes the homeless who use the restrooms, sinks to clean their clothes, and other properties. One of my co-workers got COVID and died a few months ago. Another got sick a few weeks ago. And we were all working close to them, and we still keep working. When my own family got sick, I left groceries on the porch for them. No face-to-face visits were possible ever. My job made that too risky. At Park and Recs, we are part of a massive safety net, keeping LA together. We didn't walk alone through this fire, through this whole fire.
May we have the next speaker, please?
Our next comment comes from Sandra Deltran. Please state the regular agenda item you will address, and if you will address general public comment, you may begin.
I will be speaking on agenda item 46, which I agree with. My name is Sandra Beltran. Good afternoon, supervisors. I'm a registered nurse in the ER at Olive Medical Center. I'll never forget that morning on the overhead page when I heard code blue in front of the ER. We all ran outside to find a woman dead in her car due to COVID. This happened in the early days of the pandemic when PPE was in short supply, kept locked in the supervisor's office and rationed. Without regard to our own safety, doctors and nurses reached in, grabbed the woman, and started CPR. I remember running fast for PPE, masks, started passing it out to protect everyone. She died, we couldn't save her, but time after time we saw people die and we never stopped caring for our patients and fighting for them. We were not having any emotional support, couldn't see our families due to exposure to COVID, and yet we held our community and this county together. I'm grateful for my colleagues, police supervisors, recognize your heroes. I ask that you
Looking for volunteers to provide child care services to our frontline healthcare workers. A bunch of us jumped in and came up with a plan to care for the children of the frontliners. We threw ourselves into the task of coming up with new ways to keep the children safe, busy, and engaged. Around April, we started getting referrals from our COVID unit, asking for therapy services. Many of us were fearful and no one knew what to expect, but we came up with a buddy system and training methods to overcome the fear and be able to focus on the positive difference that we can make in the community that we serve. These are the men and women of all of you. They saw the big picture and got the job done. They love
you now have 1 minute to speak on general public comment. Please speak.
And the LA County workers understand that the job is not yet done. We know that the road ahead is hard and the days will continue to be long. And so we ask you, our Board of Supervisors, to help us march forward and help us lead the way. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Our next comment comes from Rafi Nazarian. Please state the agenda item you will address and whether you'll address general public comment. Your line is open.
Good morning. I'll be addressing item 11. My name is Rafi Nazarian. Good morning with AARP California. Again, calling to speak regarding item 11. AARP California supported feasibility study a couple of years ago, and we're happy to see this moving forward. We believe that a standalone Department of Aging will provide the support and services needed by older adults in Los Angeles County, and it aligns with the Master Plan for Aging. AARP California looks forward to working with the Board of Supervisors on the creation of a standalone Department of Aging. We thank Supervisor Hahn and the Board for your leadership on this matter. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Our next comment comes from Carmen Reyes. Please state the regular agenda items you will address and whether you'll address general public comment. You may begin.
I'll be addressing general comment on item 11. Good morning, supervisors. My name is Carmen Reyes, UCLA Division of Geriatrics, and LACOA Commissioner, 4th District. I'm here to support Supervisor Hahn's motion to establish a standalone aging department. This is a bold, historic move in terms of the well-being of the county's diverse and growing aging population. For me, your board decision to bring aging to the forefront as an equal entity within the county infrastructure is critical and its bearing to our future. It will drive a long overdue organizational reset, elevating aging-related issues and solutions within the largest, most populated and diverse county in the state. Your investment today will ensure the future transformation of an antiquated structure, bringing it into the 21st century to lead and shape our future as we age, better understand who we serve, and ensure transparency, accountability, inclusion, and equity. Retool the existing...
We now have 1 minute to speak on general public comment.
Thank you. Retool the existing system of older adult services, build knowledge and capacity towards solutions, and align and advance aging legislative agenda like the master plan, like very much other county departments do in their own field and respectively so. All of this is supported by timely, appropriate data collection, research, and analytics. I support the board's vision for a new aging department, setting a high standard dedicated to our health, safety, well-being as we age. Thank you, Supervisor Hahn, and your great staff.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Our next comment comes from Portia Broom. Please state the regular agenda items you will address and whether you'll address general public comment. You may begin.
support of item 46. My name is Portia Broom and I work for the Department of Public Health as a senior typist clerk. When the outbreak began, my daughters were 6 and 7 and I was 5 months pregnant with my third child. As the world shut down, I had to serve as my daughter's teacher, lunch lady, and mom, all day, every day, while also serving the people of Los Angeles County while working remotely. My department had to jump in and fight the pandemic, which meant calling more than 200 facilities daily to request needed information, conduct COVID surveys, and fielding a huge number of calls from hospitals and patients, most of them complaints from scared and frustrated people. Stressful days at work, then transitioned to stressful nights at home. I wasn't able to help my kids with schoolwork during the day, so we'd end up being up all night till midnight every night so that they wouldn't fall behind. Eventually, I had to be monitored by my doctors because I experienced contractions. This had been a challenging, tearful, exhausting year for my family, but through it all, myself and my coworkers have served the people of our county with grace under fire. The county must recognize and show appreciation for the sacrifices of our essential workers.
Thank you. Your time has expired. May we have the next speaker, please?
That comment comes from Joseph Maislish. Please state the regular agenda items you will address, and if you will address general public comment, you may begin.
I'll be addressing items 21, 46, and a few others, and I'll listen to other people rather than make public comment. In 2014, Vanner Construction Management's Candace Roberts introduced the revision of their 2013 construction plan to replace MCJ. She said the question becomes, replace it with what? You, board members, and the public are embarked on answering that question with programs, services, diversion, and prevention based on creating social health and early intervention rather than based on threat. Several of today's items head us in that direction. Recognition of the needs of victims and of people re-entering from incarceration, restriction on the use of money bail, increase in mental health treatment, and others. Will they receive the financial support and implementation we all need? To get there, we need you and you need us. And that brings me to item 46, preliminary budget. The public has had about 24 hours to examine Volume 1, 498 pages, and Volume 2, 489 pages. If it's important enough to receive a vote today, whether preliminary or not, there ought to be a discernible good faith effort to afford the public a reasonable opportunity to examine and comment. This is part of a more general problem. Most of you have been legislators with experience holding hearings during development of proposals, but not here. Thank you for supporting the highly productive work groups like ATI, Probation Revision, Youth Justice, and now the move from MCJ to Services. They're an excellent model. We need at least hearings on proposals rather than jammed bi-weekly meetings with scant notice of items requiring us to provide comment before we've even heard the reports and heard your discussion. Let's work out a better way. Thank you and good wishes. Goodbye.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Our next comment comes from Richard Chavez. Please state the agenda items you will address and whether you'll address general public comment. You may begin.
Good morning. I will be addressing general public comment in item 46. My name is Richard Chavez. I am a children's social worker for the Department of Children and Family Services. I am here to remind you that we are the safety net for our community. The COVID pandemic isn't over with. I still work directly with clients in the field, even though I have asthma. Each face-to-face visit in the field puts me at risk of severe illness. Most visits are in the areas that were hardest hit by COVID-19. We're talking about cramped quarters with people who contracted COVID-19. Many families didn't have the money for basic protective gear, so I got them hand sanitizers and masks through donations, or I paid for it myself since PPE was not supplied adequately through my job. Sometimes I even helped my family with food because they lost their jobs or could not leave their homes. Mental health service providers were not doing in-person visits, so I did additional visits each month, especially with clients who were difficult to engage with over the phone, exposing me more to COVID-19. My coworkers and I have stepped up.
You now have 1 minute to speak on general public comment.
All I ask is that you all recognize and respect the work that we are doing. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Our next comment comes from Tina Juarez. Please state your regular agenda item, and if you're addressing general public comment, you may begin.
If I'm commenting on number item 46, my name is Tina Juarez, and I work for LA County DMH as a licensed mental health clinician.
position. I volunteered as a disaster service worker, frontliner. However, if I knew how much emotional anguish I would endure in a 10-hour day, I might have reconsidered. This has been a huge, overwhelming experience for me, and I'm in full support of 46 with emphasis on heroes pay for those of us who have given our time and who have allowed our families to be disrupted in many ways. First of all, there was a new schedule that I had to adjust to from an 8 to a 10 hours. There was also adjustments to new situations that had to be dealt with in a very short amount of time, and then we had to do it well. There was also adjustments to new populations. Given all these facts, I'm in support of a hero's pay for those of us who gave up so much only to make sure that the welfare of others are stable. Thank you.
Our next comment is from Veronica Navarro. Please state your agenda items, and if you're addressing general public comment, you may begin.
Hi, I'm addressing item 46. My name is Veronica Navarro. I'm a contract monitor at ISD. For me and my co-workers, our jobs have taken interesting turns. We have to make sure that the company LA County contract with no to manage the county parking lots actually keep those lots safe and clean. That means we interact a lot with homeless. We even seen a rise of aggressive behavior incidents. We often encounter people who are not wearing masks. We even seen an increase in trash, urine, feces, and drugs in parking lots, especially the steering wheel. And we have to keep the steering wheel free of obstruction for safety reasons. It's a tough job, especially when you get infected with COVID, as I did. I even lost my voice, which was terrifying. And I worry about passing the virus to my family. And yet, I worry every day about getting COVID again. Heroes pay will go a long way for us. We are the front line. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Our next comment is from Genevieve Claverol. Please state the agenda items you'll be addressing and whether you'll address general public comment. Your line is open.
Yes, good morning, Board of Supervisors, Dr. Genevieve Claverol. I am going to speak to item S1, 6, 11, and 46. As usual, I'm in favor of 51. It looks like we are doing much better on vaccination. We need to continue on that. I'm very disappointed that item 6 was removed. The nomination of Dr. Drew Pinsky was a very good move. We need somebody who will have the courage to speak at LASA. As it is, we have not had a report from LASA for almost a year. It's time that we have more transparency when it comes to LASA, and it can only happen with somebody who can speak their mind and not afraid. So I just hope that item come back and that Dr. Krupinski is appointed to the LASA Commission. Very needed. Item 11, I think that the Department on Aging with the disability component is very important. I would like very much to be involved, if I can help on that item. And on the 46, you see some documents were not, well, some of the documents were not available until less than 48 hours, which violates the 72-hour request by the Brown Act. And some are still not present, like the employee's salary was not posted as per last time. Anyway, I hope you have a great week and talk to you soon. Hope to see you soon. Anyway, take care.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Our next comment is from Anthony Bruce. Please state your agenda items and whether you'll address general public comment. You may begin.
Hello and good morning, Board of Supervisors. I am in favor of agenda items 8 and 9. I want to share a general public comment. Please consider and approve agenda items 8 and 9 to return the land to the Bruce family, and for the state to remove restrictions on the land in order for that to happen and make it a reality. Please and thank you, Board of Supervisors Mitchell, Kuehl, Arger, Solis, and Hahn. Uphold justice for the Bruces and grant these motions 8 and 9. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Our next comment is from Carla Warren. Please state the agenda items you will address and whether you'll address general public comment. Your line is open.
Good morning. My name is Carla Warren. I work as an eligibility supervisor at the Department of Public Social Services Metro North Office. At my work site during this pandemic, we've been serving the homeless directly. In February, we started helping anyone who couldn't reach us by phone. For some people, it made a difference to see a real face on the other side. We would reassure them that everything was going to be okay. But I was concerned doing this work and scared. We were facing the unknown in a deadly global pandemic. We had no way of being assured that we wouldn't get sick and die. Maybe I take it home infecting my mother, niece, or brother. But our mission motivated me. The knowledge that I would be helping someone in need of who was in a less fortunate than I was. We were able to provide CalFresh benefits to people who hadn't eaten in days, approved Medi-Cal coverage for people needing serious medical attention. We did the right thing. We did not ignore COVID. We did all that was asked of us. We went above and beyond. Please do the right thing. Do not ignore us. We did what was asked of us. Grant us heroes pay for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Our next comment is from Linda Dent. Please state your agenda items, and if you will address general public comment, you may begin.
Hello, on behalf of Linda Dent, my name is Michael Green. I know she's the president of SEIU 721. She's unable to attend, but I will express her thoughts. You just heard from a sampling of the many stories of how our SEIU members have met the challenge and enduring the suffering. We do have other members waiting to speak as well. But most of them, all of them have made the personal sacrifices and kept on going throughout this COVID-19 pandemic. This year, SEIU 721 members have redefined the safety net. We have done our part for all the residents of Los Angeles County. Now we can count on you to do yours. As you shape your budget for the new year, do not take your workers for granted. We know that there are great demands on limited resources, but doing the right by your employees should be a top priority. Show us the respect and appreciation we deserve. We have earned it. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Our next comment is from Alexia Sina. Please state your agenda items, and if you'll address general public comment, you may begin.
Hi, I will be speaking in favor of item number 26. Good morning, my name is Alexia Sina. I am a youth advocate and community organizer with the Anti-Recidivism Coalition. Thank you, Supervisor Solis, for bringing up this important motion to the board in support of Senate Bill 731. I want to urge the entire board to support SB 731. As a young adult who was incarcerated for 3 years, I was released last year and have been home for a little over 6 months now. I can personally tell you about all the obstacles and barriers that I encountered and still stumble across trying to move forward with my life and having a past record that continues to haunt me. Despite having transformed my life around and now being a youth advocate and being of service to my community, having a past criminal record still makes it difficult for people like me and many others to successfully move forward in our lives. It is a label that not only follows you, but reminds us of our own past traumas. Passing this bill would help justice impacted individuals like myself not to be held back because of our past mistakes and to help us get out of the cycle of recidivism. This would open the doors to employment and stability for people. Passing this bill would allow individuals to be productive.
Thank you. Your time has expired. Madam Chair, that concludes the 1 hour for public comment testimony.
Thank you. Our time for public speakers has ended. Thank you all that called in to speak. And if you were unable to provide your comments, you may submit written comments as indicated on the agenda. We'll continue to accept all written comments that come in during the meeting, which will become part of the official record. Madam Executive Officer, please indicate the agenda item numbers on which we will be voting.
The following items are before you: 1D and 2D, 6 as amended, 7,